It's just the mother of all comfort food. You can't go wrong with great mac and cheese. So we started boiling some elbow macaroni noodles, and this is going to make one big 9x13 casserole. And I've talked about this before, and it's just so important. Whenever you're having pasta in some sort of a casserole recipe, it's so important to not overcook the noodles, because then you're going to get left with a really mushy noodle casserole, and we don't want that. We want everybody to know it's mac and cheese with great elbow macaroni. So I always cook the pasta a little bit undercook it, or cook it al dente, and get it out before it's actually done, because remember, it's going to continue to cook again in the oven. And it'll even cook right here in this colander. So I'm going to get it right out of the colander too and get it into a nice big bowl. Now while this pasta is nice and hot, and this is why I love this recipe, because there's just not a lot to it. It's a very, very simple recipe. I've got some Velveeta cheese that I've cut into cubes, and you don't even need to worry about melting it, because this is, and we're going to have a couple different cheeses in this recipe. So this is just, you know, going to make this rich and creamy and very kid-friendly. And when you toss it right in there with the hot pasta, it's going to get it melting, which is really nice. It's just less dishes to wash. So this is one of those recipes that, seriously, if you need a dish to bring and you only have maybe, you know, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes to throw it together and then bake it off, this is a quick one. All right, so I'm just going to get that cheese in there with the hot pasta. Now I've got 1 stick of butter that I'm going to melt. I'm just going to do it right here in this measuring cup. And I'm going to melt this. Some of it's going to go in with the cheese, and some of it's going to be saved for the crunchies that go on top. Now, I'm all about a really great casserole. You know that by now if you watch the show. I call myself the queen of casseroles, because I always say you got to be queen of something, right? One of the secrets to my casseroles is really nice and creamy. Most of my casseroles have some sort of cheese in them, and of course this one does, because it's mac and cheese. And then they always have, or most of them anyway that I can think of, have some sort of a great crunchy on top. So this one kind of has all of those things going on. All right, good, that butter is melted. So we're going to take about half of that butter and throw it right in here. We're going to save some of it. And I'm also going to take a little salt and pepper, a couple cups of cheddar cheese right in here with the warm pasta. We're going to save some to go on top though. So we basically got 2 kinds of cheese. The Velveeta and the cheddar right in here with this hot pasta. Now of course it's going to get all melted in the oven, but because this pasta is hot anyway, it's going to get started melting right now. All right, we're going to get back to you in just a minute. Oh, that looks so good though. We're just getting this whole mac and cheese thing started. Okay. Now the other thing we're going to do is I'm going to make a really nice fluffy kind of custard that's going to go in here. And if you've ever had egg in your mac and cheese, you'll know it, because it just kind of gets this really rich, fluffy texture. And it's a very southern thing to do a few eggs in baked mac and cheese, and it really does work. So this recipe calls for 3 eggs. Got a little bit of the shell in there, but I'm just going to fish them out. You get out of there, you. Everybody's excited about today's recipe. Like I say, whenever I'm making mac and cheese, people just light up. Abby, my producer's all excited. Ann, are you excited about this homemade mac and cheese? I know, I am too. You just can't beat it. I remember the first time I made homemade mac and cheese, I had a bunch of people over from work, and everybody was used to the box stuff. And wow, once you start making the homemade stuff, you just can't go back to the box stuff, and it's not all that hard to do, and it's just so yummy. Mac and cheese is still one of those comfort foods, and it's still very, very trendy at some of the, the fancier restaurants in the country. I'll go to a fancy steakhouse and you'll see homemade mac and cheese. They may add, lobster, make lobster mac and cheese, or truffle mac and cheese, but it's, bottom line, it's just mac and cheese, and it's still just very, very much on trend. Okay, now I'm going to add 1 container of sour cream, and this is just going to, again, make this really rich and creamy. We've got just a small, so 1 cup, 8-ounce container of sour cream, 3 eggs. And then I'm going to use 1 can of evaporated milk, not the sweetened condensed milk. That's the stuff you use for desserts. And that is really the other secret to my casseroles is there's normally a lot of liquid in them when you start, but after you bake it, it just becomes very rich and creamy, and it's not dried out. So a lot of times people are putting my casserole recipes together and they're saying, wow, can that be right? It seems like a lot of liquid. Yes, it is. Because again, that pasta is just going to really, suck up all that liquid. So you got to start with lots of liquid to begin with if you want that mac and cheese to be rich and creamy. All right, in goes the egg mixture into our pasta. Thank you, Anne. This is also really inexpensive to make, and I know we're all watching our pennies these days. So this one's a winner. All right. Now, we're going to spray our casserole dish, or else we're going to be in the kitchen doing the dishes forever and a day. We don't want that. So just really spray it well with cooking spray. In goes our pasta, and you'll notice all that creamy, cheesy liquid. And that's going to give us a really nice creamy casserole. It's not going to be dried out. All right. Now, we're not done yet. I talked about the cheese and the crunchies that go on top of most of my casseroles. Again, I'm just using sharp cheddar, and this is the remaining couple cups. It's going to just get tossed on the top. Because, come on, the top's always the best part of the casseroles, right? All right. And now here's the fun crunchy that we're going to put on top. I'm always looking for new, fun, different crunchies, from potato chips to corn flakes. I do pretzels. One of my mac and cheese recipes has crushed pretzels on top. That one's in my cookbook, and it's got a little beer in the sauce. But this one, we're going to keep it nice and simple. And this is one of my go-to all-purpose crunchies because it's quick, easy. It's something I have on hand, and it's delicious and very kid-friendly. These are just panko breadcrumbs, about 1.5 cups of. They're a Japanese breadcrumb, and they're just really delicious. On top of, I bread fish with them, chicken with them, but they're really great mixed with a little bit of butter on top of casseroles. They make a really nice crunch, and this is one of those things that my chef friends are topping with their casseroles all the time. So it's just as easy as panko breadcrumbs and butter. So you just kind of toss that over the top. I like to bake this at 350. I like to loosely cover it with foil for the first, maybe 20 minutes, and uncover it and cook it another 15 to 20, just until the top gets nice and golden and the casserole is all bubbly and just yummy and wonderful. All right, so come back with me. We'll cover this with foil, and everybody's going to be eating well today. And let me show you this casserole that we're going to take out of the oven. Everyone's going to be asking for this recipe for sure, and the kids will absolutely love it too. And the egg in there just makes this so creamy. Oh yeah. Homemade mac and cheese just doesn't get much better than that. Recipes on our website. You can also pick it up at any area festival foods. Coming up, lots more great ideas for your next potluck.